So here we go. Hi there, I'm Debbie Casagrande and welcome to the very first Creating Wellness series. And today I'm joined with the beautiful Deb Norman, who I will introduce in a minute because she has a multitude of talents. And this series will be about incorporating all forms of wellness, which will be the mind, the body, and the soul. And there's so much to the mind, the body, and the soul that we don't know and that we may never know. However, it is my intention to educate as best as possible so that we can make informed decisions around our health and well-being. So welcome, Deb.
Hi, thank you so much for having me on.
So I'm just going to read a little bit about you before we go ahead, because you have some amazing talents and skills that you incorporate into your work so that you can help your clients on so many different levels. So I will just have a little bit of a read of this. So Deb has spent the last 26 years in training and studying to heal herself, and found that she had a talent and a passion for using her gained wisdom and knowledge to support others out of the well. Her training started with a medium who worked on cold cases, which is quite interesting. And from there, she went on to psychological astrology, advanced spiritual awareness and counselling, hands-on healing and psychic development. She incorporated Reiki, Secheim, coaching and psychotherapy, Theta healing and NLP. She worked with Marucci door councils, supporting new mums that were single with little bubs. She has a background in nursing, real estate, and she is a mother of 5. Deb began mixing all her modalities together without planning it. It just happened. She was mixing science, psychotherapy, astrology, metaphysics, and healing into each session and was blown away with the results. This prompted Deb to develop courses, programs, and meditations to attend each soul holistically, from all-round rewiring and healing. So she incorporates epigenetics into her coaching programs as it works in resonance with everything else that she does. She loves educating and gives a lot of content, and this is in particular to one massive group that Deb has of 28,000 members. So Deb's topic for today is in utero to 7 years, genetic predisposition and early family environment programming, and how it can be tracked via birth blueprint. So welcome, Deb.
Thanks, Deb.
So Deb, we heard then how you got into everything, but there's so much there, and I know a lot of listeners that may have gone over the head, even though we know that what you do works. But explain a little bit, maybe where you start with the client. What is it that you need to know for you to help them into health and well-being and to set them on a path that may be right for them?
The first thing I do is always get a person's birth details. And what this does is it gives me their blueprint. So prior to incarnating into the physical, we have an energetic blueprint, just like a house has a blueprint and you build the house from that. We're exactly the same. So in that blueprint, it shows me the attitudes that somebody's brought through with them, the attitudes that they need to develop for this incarnation, and we look at the gap in between what's not working from things that are being brought through habitually and things that need to be changed for this experience for them to expand on. So I can also see in the birth chart their predisposition. So this means while they're in utero, they're being downloaded with the DNA from mum. and dad. So all her feelings, all her belief systems, her paradigms, how she responds or reacts to her environment, her partner, everything that she feels and does comes from her own programs, which are then downloaded into the fetus. So the fetus then comes through with their own contracts. Then they've got all the stuff that they've picked up from the parent's DNA. And this is carefully chosen because it will complement whatever your contracts are. So it's no accident that your parents trigger you and you them. Then we have the birth experience, which sets up the challenges. So whenever there's a challenge that comes in through life, we'll flip into our birth experience. And then we've got the environment and how we interact with that, and then all of the programs that come from that. So it's like layer on layer on layer. So a bit of a Danish going on there.
Yeah, I know when, you know, in life you go, like, why is that? You know, you think you're going along fine, and then it's like, why is that triggering me? But as you say, there's so many, and you might, and I've heard people say, I've worked on this before. But as you say, there's so many layers of different things.
Yes, and they'll always go back. You'll have many layers until you get to a core emotional driver. And the core emotional driver is usually the predisposition stuff, so the in utero stuff that's not even yours. It's just passed down the family line from generation to generation on the mother's side. And it's those sneaky little things that we've got to get to. And it's peeling away the layers that finally get you to that, because it's quite often not what you think it's going to be. And it'll be unconscious. So it's in the body, and the body is the subconscious. It's also the soul. So everything is imprinted in there, and the body becomes a bit bossy. It becomes addicted to the feelings that come from those behaviors and emotions. And then it starts to demand that feeling again. So it'll do whatever it can to make you fall back into that pattern to get that payoff, to get that feeling.
So
and
that's a really good explanation of, we attract what we're not necessarily putting it out there intentionally, but that's what we're attracting, what happens to us.
Yes, because where focus goes, energy flows. So with the universe, it doesn't discriminate. It doesn't have the emotions of the physical body. So if we're sitting there going, oh, I'm sick of this happening, I'm sick of being poor, I really don't want this anymore, I wish it would go away, and we think that by wishing that it's going to stop, but it doesn't, because the universe has no idea about the emotional attachment. Only the body does. So universally, your focus is on all those things that you don't want, so it brings you more of the same, because it doesn't know.
Yes, absolutely. But is there a component of, because I think you mentioned that, you know, our body will put out there all the programming. So
Yep.
sometimes is it that we don't, it's not even our thoughts, but the energy that's held within the body that's also putting it out there? Is that right?
Yeah, we have 60,000 thoughts a day, and most of those are negative, and 95% of those are habitual. So what happens is, when it becomes a habit, it becomes part of the body. It's in the actual body. So the body is now dictating to the mind how things are going to be, not the other way around. And it's addicted to that behavior. So then we have to rewire the subconscious with the same habits in the opposite direction, but repetition over and over and over, until we can debunk it and trick it into believing that that's no longer suitable, and it takes on the new program. And that's what triggers are for as well. When you're triggered, you're habitually reacting to an old program, or something that's not even yours, or an event that happened when you were young, and what's happening now has triggered that old event because it was unhealed, and you're reacting to that, not what's happening now. So it's all about the body. Once it's a habit, it's in the body. It's not your mind, because you're thinking constantly. And just imagine if 60,000 thoughts manifested every day. It's not possible. So it's not about the thoughts so much as it's about the emotion that you attach to it and the meaning that you give it. And when you believe that, it creates.
Okay, and then on another note, you mentioned, and I also know that a lot of these programs and thoughts started in childhood, and potentially you're talking from utero to year
Yeah.
7. Is it a definite that everything started then, or is it that, as you've also mentioned, that it's genetic or past life, or is it always amplified from 0 to 7? I'm trying to get my head around, like I know.
Yeah, okay. Once we, as source is just an energy, a
Yes.
thought in the quantum field that infuses itself into a physical. So what happens is we are vibrating so fast energetically that we, what's the word? It creates matter.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Which is the body to
Yep.
have the experience, because the energy, us as a thought, cannot physically feel and do things that the body can do. So we kind of infuse into it and merge with it. But most of us is still in the field. We cannot fit into the body. We're too big.
Uh-huh. Yep. Okay, then. So how does what you work out from, well, one, what details do you need to get the blueprint? And two, when you work that out, how does that help enhance, so what steps or processes might you take a client through to enhance their health and well-being? And by health and well-being, I mean mind, body, and or soul. 1 or 3 or 3, 2 or 3.
Yeah, okay. Well, first thing I do is get their birth details, and I put their blueprint up, their chart.
So what birth details? What is it you need?
Their time, their date, and their place is very important as well.
So what if someone doesn't know the time of birth? Is that imperative?
It is quite important. I would normally go off and see if I can connect with their guides and get a time for them. Most of the time,
Yep.
we get a time. Yeah,
Yep.
it always ends up working out anyway, regardless.
Yep.
But we all have contracts.
Yep.
So when we leave here, we don't come back with the intention of having to pay for what we did last time. Let's just say, people say I'm doing this, I must have been evil last time or bad in my last life because all these things are happening to me. That's not what we bring through with this. It's always a new experience, a new contract. However, the soul blueprint does record the attitudes and the behaviors, and it's the attitudes we bring through with us. So we've got that, and then we've got all mum and dad's stuff downloading into us, and then we've got the early environment, because we're in that theta state for the first 7 years, as you know, and we take in everything and create our programs and reinforce old programs from that. So that's pretty much all we bring through with us. And then the chart, it doesn't show past lives. It will just show the attitudes that you had and the attitude that you need to tweak it to be fully in this experience in its healthiest manner.
There's a lot of tweaking.
There's definitely a lot of tweaking. So the chart will show me what was going on for mum during the 3 trimesters. You can see in there what she was feeling, how she was reacting to things, how it impacted you, then your birth experience, then that first 7 years, and then from then on we can track the transits to now what's getting hit off, who's getting triggered, and what growth is in that for you. So we're really attending to the energy body, the physical body, the mind, all the belief systems, and looking at the challenges and the purpose really of the soul coming in, what it chose to do and how it can use all its programming in a more positive way that can support it in fulfilling its contracts here.
Okay, so if we were to think of a health challenge, So, you know, a lot
Mm-hmm.
of people have health challenges. How can what you do help to enhance our health, or can we reverse those health challenges? Is it about learning what the old program is that hopefully
Yes.
no longer serves us? And then can we shift that to have better health?
Absolutely. A lot of the health issues are the genetic predisposition, meaning it's belief systems passed down the mother's line. So you know how a lot of people say, I need to get checked for cancer every year because cancer's in the family. Well, genetically, cancer isn't in the family, according to Dr. Bruce Lipton, who's a stem cell biologist. He says that the belief system is in the family, and that is passed down, and biology of belief says what you focus on, what you believe and attach a meaning to, so you will create.
Mm-hmm.
So we look at the emotional drivers behind that. So in a natal chart, you've got inner and outer planets, and when you put them together in aspect, it shows psychological drivers, and you can tell by a particular psychological driver how it's going to manifest physically.
Yes. Okay then. Yep. I absolutely love the mind-body connection, and I've always been, without really even ever being educated in it, I always believed in the mind body, and the, you know, how our thoughts and our beliefs create a chemical reaction within, maybe in, I would have always said in the mind, which then you know, sets off a ripple effect through the body. Do you believe, in your training or belief or your wisdom, does it start in the mind and the brain, and then, or is it start somewhere else?
Everything starts with a thought, and then it becomes a belief. Once it becomes a belief, then you've attached meaning and emotion to it, and that's when it starts to manifest. So these things don't happen overnight. These are repetitious habits that are done over and over and over again because the person is unaware they're doing it, or because it was taught to them.
Yeah.
And then it becomes an issue, and the body starts to dictate how things are going to go. So that's why rewiring it, again, you have to do the repetition. It takes a while to undo the damage, because we're dealing with the subconscious mind, and the subconscious mind, there's nobody there. It's just like a machine. It just replays programs over and over and over. So you can't have an argument with it or try to persuade it to do something, because it's just a program. So you need to get yourself back in a particular state and then change the program. And that is repetition, because until the body embodies it and starts to really know and understand it, it can't change it. And if you're still being triggered by something, you're still in the program. The moment you're no longer reacting to it and you're the observer and you're going, oh yes, that's interesting, and you just shift your perspective, you know you've beaten the program, because you'll always react to a program.
Which is essentially, part of that is giving meaning to an event in the past and attaching emotions to it. So there's,
yes,
when we get to a point of being the outside observer, I suppose, and not be attached to that that event, whatever it might be, then we can bypass the program and move on.
Change program.
But well, and you're not just talking about that positive thinking and that sort of stuff, are you? No.
No.
So
no.
what?
Positive think till the cows come home. But if you've got a program that is stronger, and most of the focus unconsciously is going on the program, you're not going to be able to change anything.
Mm-hmm. Okay, then.
So you need to get to the core beliefs of why and debunk it to change it.
And so what would be, if someone was just listening and wanted to go off and do some work, what would be maybe one step, 2 steps, whatever you think, to debunking that core program?
It's quite a bit of work. Like, one thing's not going to do it. That's why I created my programs. But the first thing I suppose somebody could do is to start bringing some focus of attention and awareness to what's going on in the back of their mind. You know, when you go off in la la land and you're kind of staring and dreaming, it's that state that you're creating from, and it's that state that you're usually running from a subconscious program that is undermining everything you're trying to do, and you're not even aware of it. You've no idea. But you know, when you go off in that state, you go, no, come back.
Yep. So that awareness is massive.
Absolutely.
Creating the first part of a shift in anything.
Yeah. I mean, people aren't taught awareness, they're not taught focus or discipline. And the mind, our imagination, is where we create from. And if you can't control that and direct it, you're in trouble, because it'll write its own script. It loves drama. The body is addicted to drama and the payoff that it gets from it. And it's usually in an attempt to get a need met. But it's unconscious, it's uncomfortable, yet the body still craves it. It's like when you're addicted to something very bad to you, like a drug. You can't stand the pain you're in when you're withdrawing, because the body hurts. So the body will force you to take more of it to give it relief, but the effect of that on the rest of you is devastating. So it's like a very negative loop, very hard to get out of.
Definitely. And it's so easy to want to avoid pain. Well, to get into, but to avoid pain, like, you know, it's human nature to want to avoid pain. But I know some of my biggest learnings, my biggest periods of growth, my biggest shifts in consciousness of when I've actually delved into that pain. No, it's not a nice place, but essentially it's where the magic happens. And I know that you love that too.
Yeah, I love to go straight through it. I explain to my students that the illusion around the pain points or the drama that you think is happening is just a program and a perception. So if you think of it as just a cloud and you're a plane and you're just going through the cloud and you come out the other end and say there was nothing there, it's the illusion and the fear of what will happen if I go in there. Will I not be able to see where I'm going? Will I crash into another plane? It's that kind of energy around what prevents us from going through our fears because of what we think might be going to happen or what might be in there.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of avoidance, wanting to avoid that.
The what if.
Yep.
Yeah.
Or that's not going to be nice, or I don't want to go there because I experienced that before in the past and it wasn't nice. So it's a familiar ground that we want to avoid and stay away from. But essentially it's what, you know, in life we're always living in duality. So there's always going to be pleasure and pain. You know, it's something that cannot be avoided. So just balance. Go there and do the work and come out on the other side.
Absolutely. And, you know, at first it's scary and it hurts because it's uncertain. But once you get in a good routine of working on yourself daily, after a while, you crave it and you love the good feeling and you like what happens when you do the work, and you'll find that each layer that you peel away is less painful because you're now changing the way you perceive that event. And like you said, you know, you're not reacting to what's happening now, you're reacting to unprocessed pain from when you were younger because you've created a program that says don't do that or this is what's going to happen to you, and it's not the case.
Yeah, and it, you know, definitely it's such a blessing to be able to let go of stuff that no longer serves us. You know, it's in the past, let's work through it to leave it in the past. So if you had one maybe either message or tip for someone that's listening that may be interested in enhancing their health and well-being, what might that be?
Start your personal growth immediately, because in 12 months' time, you're going to look back and wish you had of. The changes will be unbelievable. And remember that it's a way of life. It's not something you just do for 12 months and then it's all over. you incorporate it into your life like you would eating.
Yeah.
It's just a part of life, and it becomes such an amazing habit that you do it without thinking.
Yeah, and I think the one thing that really gets me is that, you know, we work on our body, we might go to the gym, we eat healthy foods, we pay our bills, we look after our car, but who really looks after their mental health and well-being and programming that, you know, it's there from the beginning, it's there till the end. It's something that we, you know, for me, and I know for you, it's definitely so worth investing in. And even, you know, people don't need to come and see you or come and see me. YouTube has so much to start, where you can learn so much to get you on the path to then be ready to dive in, so that, you know, life is so pleasurable when you can look at it in so many different aspects, and you're not affected by so many different things.
Yeah, I suppose my biggest thing for me is to work in the quantum field, to work on the energy blueprint, because that's where everything starts, and we're not fighting against matter or time. You know, it's not a slow process when you go into the field instead of trying to do something with the actual physical. So I like to play in the field where the thoughts are, where the blueprint is, and tweak things there which automatically change the physical. Because every time you have a thought, a negative or positive, it affects your genes, and your genes then affect all the other parts of your body, like your cells, and everything changes form with every thought. So it's constantly changing what it does, which
And
can bring you different outcomes.
yeah, definitely. And I suppose the core of that is that, you know, you're going in the quantum field, which is all energy and vibration. We're all energy and vibration. So change that energy and vibration. We have the ability to change it within the physical body as well.
Yeah, you change it in the field. You are a reflection of the field, except you're in a physical manifestation.
Yeah, fantastic.
Yeah.
Well, I have loved our chat. Thank you so much for sharing your time and sharing all that knowledge. So what I will do, you have so many different avenues that people can connect with you if should they have any questions, or should they want to jump in on any of your pages or programs where you have an absolute wealth of information. I will share that. So I'd like to thank everybody for listening. Please know that you are more capable and that you are more than you could ever imagine. So have a wonderful life, and until next time, I will talk to you again then, and stay healthy. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.